Hello, you're listening to a podcast. We're three family members. This is called Butterbaugh. We're talking ball, we're having a little family banter, and we're having a ball. Hi, my name is Scott.
Hi, I'm Nicole. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Butterbaugh Podcast. We post clips and other great things on there, so follow us on Instagram at Butterbaugh Podcast.
And I'm Drew. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at Butterball Podcast or listen to us on Spotify. Just search Butterball.
Excellent. So today we have an extra person on right now, and we're going to have an extra person on a little later as well. This episode, we decided to bring in some family members and talk about their sports journeys. We all enjoy sports very much. That's one of the purposes of our podcast, is just to celebrate the fact that we love ball and we love talking ball. And the gentleman sitting next to me, he started it all in our family. This is my dad, the kids' grandfather. He's a former athlete, a former coach, and he basically is the person, the patriarch of our interest in sports. So, Dad, do you want to tell him a little bit about yourself to start out with?
Well, I just started playing ball in junior high and liked competition, and so it just went on from there.
Football, right?
Well, in junior high, I went to a real small school. All 12 or all grades were in one building. We only had 60 in high school, and so you just kind of played in all sports. I was brought up for the junior high basketball team when I was in the sixth grade, and then played basketball in junior high, and that's the only sport we had. Once I got to high school, and I started playing football and running track also. And I just liked competition and really liked playing football. So that consumed my time mostly in high school and college.
Do you have a memory of a high school football moment or game or anything like that that really stands out in your mind?
Yeah, there's one game against North English. I scored 40-some points. I called the plays. My coach, I'd look to the sideline for a play, and he'd say, "Call a play, get going." So I just had to learn the whole offense and play and call the plays.
Kind of nice to be able to score 48 points, and it's probably even easier if you can call your number a lot, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I actually ran the ball almost every play. If we played single wing, and if I was going to go around to the off tackle or outside, I'd line up at tailback, and if I was going to go up the middle, I'd line up at fullback.
You went to a college called Parsons College.
Correct.
In Iowa. Parsons College does not exist anymore. Back when Dad went there, they were part of the Iowa Conference. They became a much larger school there for a while in the early 70s, and then the school closed. But how did you end up at Parsons? Why did you choose that school?
Well, I was recruited by several small schools, nothing big. I was recruited by Teachers College at that time. It's UNI now, but I decided to go to Parsons because my coach my senior years was from there. Obie Nelson, the football coach, spoke at our banquet. A former Westchester athlete was going there also.
Good. At Parsons, you played football, but didn't you also experience a little wrestling there too? I think you told me about one time.
Well, I was recruited to go out for wrestling. I'd never seen a wrestling match, so that was kind of a boondoggle affair as far as I was concerned.
Any specifics you want to talk?
Did they have to teach you the rules when you showed up?
What?
Did they have to teach you the rules when you showed up?
Well, everything. I mean, I had never seen a wrestling match before. I stopped by wrestling practice one day and was rolling around on a mat, and they said, "Well, hey, why don't you come out and go to meets with us? We don't have enough to fill out the team." And I was strong enough I could last a little bit, but it didn't work out very well in the matches.
You didn't win?
Pardon?
You didn't win any matches?
No, I pinned myself once because, the guy had me on my back and I grabbed him by the throat and lifted him up to get him off of me. And I forgot my shoulders were still on the mat. So I got him up here and the referee smacked the mat and that was it.
It's still very impressive to be a two-sport varsity letter in college, even if you lost every match.
Well, I didn't really let her in wrestling. The only sport I really competed in college was football, and I lettered and started all 4 years.
Which at the time, when Dad went into college, if he would have went to larger schools, you couldn't play as a freshman.
Yeah, if we went to an NCAA school, I couldn't play as a freshman, and I wanted to play right away, and that's one of the big reasons that I chose Parsons.
That was an NCAA rule?
That was an NCAA rule at that time.
Can I ask what year it was?
1957. It's when I graduated from high school to go into college.
Got it. I'm just curious because I've been mapping the timeline of the NCAA a lot lately, and so that's obviously a bit early for the NCAA because I'm like, that rule makes no sense. Like, what were they doing? So
Yeah,
that's interesting.
you couldn't play at varsity. You had to play a freshman. If you got to play anything, you might get to play 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 freshman games, but not varsity. And I had my mind made up. I was going to play varsity ball.
Now, when you played in college, did you also play both ways, right?
I did. Mostly my freshman sophomore year, I played linebacker, but the last 2 years I played fullback on offense, linebacker on defense.
Oh.
And the most time I ever missed in a ball game my last 2 years was about 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. That's a lot of playing time. My question that I'm really want to know is, what did your uniforms look like when you were in college?
We had nice uniforms, not nearly as nice as what some of those there are today, but our colors were Kelly green and white, and so we either had a green jersey or a white jersey. Just the numbers, no names or anything. And
Did
then
you have knee pads?
have what?
Like knee pads?
Oh yeah, you had the knee pads, thigh pads, hip pads, the whole bit. You had to wear all that stuff that they don't have to wear today.
What
So
about
you
your
looked like
helmet?
you looked like the New York Jets.
Yeah, kind of.
What about the helmet?
Oh, well, the helmet thing, my freshman year in high school, by the time they got to handing out equipment for the freshmen, I wear a 6 7/8 helmet, and all that was left was a 7 1/4 Wilson foam rubber padding in the helmet. So that thing would twist around my head like mad, and many times I would get up from a play and be looking out the ear hole because it just kept twisting around. No face mask or anything.
No face
So
mask.
So at what point in time during was it in high school or was it in college when you decided that you wanted to be a teacher and a coach?
Well, the main thing was that in high school, I decided I wanted to go to college because I wanted to play more football. And while in college, I decided that's when I wanted to become a coach.
Which sport did you like coaching the least?
Golf, because I was terrible at it.
That's fair. I can see how that would be a hard one to teach.
Yeah.
Dad, I have a question for you that's related to Grandpa. Like, what from your childhood stands out to you of having a dad that was a college football coach or high school football coach too, because he did both?
I can remember very vaguely some things from when he was first a high school coach when we lived in Williamsburg, but I was just a young kid then. So my first real strong memories were when Dad was coaching at Huron College in Huron, South Dakota, and I was at a lot of practices. I'd go to practice, and I'd be running around the field just trying to make sure that I didn't get in front of anybody that was moving fast and gonna hit somebody. I kind of got to run wherever I wanted to, so it was really a lot of fun. It was almost as if the babysitting committee was the football team for me. I just got to run around the football team all the time on the field and play around and jump on the blocking dummies and punt, kick, pass, catch, whatever. It was just a lot of fun that way. And then I other memories that I remember that really stand out are the first couple times I walked into the locker room during halftime when Dad might have been giving the team a little bit of the business. I heard words that I hadn't heard before.
Did he?
I saw looks on players' faces, that would be, you know, kind of intense at times and stuff. And yeah, it was an interesting experience.
Hmm. How old were you?
When we were in Huron, I went through kindergarten through fourth grade. So those 5 years were the years in Huron.
So you're like 8 or 9 years old by the time you're going into the locker room and
Yeah.
listening to these speeches?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being a player on that team and being scared for your life, and then it's the coach's 8-year-old son just looking at you in the
I'd sit
corner?
in on I, I'd sit in on film session too. Like when they were reviewing film and stuff, I'd sit in on that. As a real little kid, it was really frustrating at times though, because you know, coaches would stop the film and play it back and play it back and play it back and play it back, and keep doing that a bunch of times to point stuff out to the players. And as a kid, you're like, well, I just want to see where the ball's going to go, you know. So, but as I look back at it on it as I got older, I learned a lot, just by being around it.
Yeah, definitely.
Dad, what memory from coaching high school? Do you have any memories that really stand out from your time coaching high school ball?
Well, I really enjoyed coaching, and I had an undefeated season in Soy City, Iowa, and we were there 4 seasons, and I think I ended up with a 26-5-1 record. So I really enjoyed my time there.
So you made the jump then. You went from coaching in Sway City to coaching in Williamsburg,
Williamsburg,
Iowa High School. And you were there for 5 years in Williamsburg, right?
5 years, yeah. I had one ball game there. It was most exciting. We were losing to North English late in the ball game, and they were driving the ball, got down to our 20-yard line, and they're up 4 or 5 points. They kept running the ball into the line, and finally we knocked the ball loose. They fumbled. We got the ball back inside the 20-yard line with time running out. So I told the quarterback exactly what I wanted, and he did a good job of running it. I said, I want you to run a draw the first play to get the ball away from the goal line. And the second play, I want you to throw the ball over the receiver's head out of bounds to kill the clock because we were out of timeout. And then the third play was a pass play where the split ends went down and out. The other slot went right down through the middle of the field as hard as he could run. And I said, I want the ball thrown to him. And with time running out, he caught the ball and ran it in for a touchdown. We ended up winning.
Nice. That'd be fun for the team too, huh?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I got a call at home after the game. My parents were there, and your grandparents, and some and the coaches, and we were talking about the game. And the phone rang, and they asked for me to come to the phone. And some woman was on the phone. And she says, "You shit ass," and I said, "Thank you," and that was it.
Some that's a fan following there, you know. I mean, hey,
Yeah, yeah.
you got them, and they were upset.
That reminded me of one of my questions. I was gonna ask, what's your favorite team story outside of like the game itself? So like can be something on a road trip or locker room or whatever that you just really enjoy.
Well, there were some good ones and some bad ones in terms of trips home. You're always happy for a win, and of course, losing is not any fun at all. And one game that I was pleased with our team was how, even though we lost, was a good game, a good showing against a team in Ohio that when I was at Upper Iowa, that they did end up beating us, but we had them on the run for some time, and they were a very high-ranked team. So that
Okay.
wasn't as bad a return home as some games could be.
Yeah, that game actually, we were down 21-0 right in the first
Yeah.
quarter, and so Dad called our 2-minute offense in the first quarter. So we started running a 2-minute offense, which consisted of 4 plays, and drove right down the field and scored. Got the ball back, drove right down the field and scored again, and then we were driving again, and they ended up all of a sudden they have a hurt player on the field. They're saying they're a hurt player, and this guy pulls off his helmet and just vomits all over the field because we were running them we were running their defense ragged so much that they had a guy actually throw up on the field during that
Yeah.
rally. That was pretty funny.
So just to remind everyone, so this is when you, Dad, played for Grandpa.
Mm-hmm. I played for him for 2 seasons, and then you know, the experience was it could have been better from not from his coaching standpoint, but from the school really didn't support the team at the time, or you know the staff, which was Dad and his staff, and so you know I kind of felt like, gee, I don't know if I want to spend 2 more years playing in these circumstances, and that's when you know I made the decision to try to play at a higher level and go to University of Northern Iowa, which Dad supported.
Mhm.
And you know, it was tough, but because I wanted to play for him, but at the same time, you know, you only had 4 years to get to play when you're playing, and so I made a decision to go to Northern Iowa, and uh, you know, I was having the time of my life for about 4 weeks, and then the injury thing happened, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of put a kibosh on it, but it didn't
Totally.
ruin my love for sports for sure. You know,
Could have used your COVID year.
we didn't get those back then.
Yeah.
You know.
I could
We
have
didn't
used the medical advancements of today as well. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the recovery period just wasn't the same in you know, back in the '80s, so, it was a different experience.
but Dad, that's something I think maybe someone might be listening to the podcast who, like, their dad is their coach, at whatever level that may be. Like, what is hard or what was challenging about having your dad as your coach, and also like what was the most rewarding part of that?
Yeah, I think the most challenging thing was, you know, where we were at, where we were at, the school at the time didn't support. When I say support, I mean financially, you know, or with resources such as
Yeah.
assistant coaches and things like that. Didn't support, the team as much as the other teams in the conference and that type of thing. So we were already in a net negative situation, and when you find yourself in sports in a net negative situation, you know, trying to keep a positive attitude, you know, with all of your teammates and stuff, that's hard in and of itself. Now, you as the coach's son, you know, there were times I'd walk into the locker room and all the talking would just stop. You know, because you know, they didn't, you know, nobody know, you know, some people don't think, well, can I trust this guy? Is he going to say something? What, that type of thing. So that's tough. I mean, I had some people on the team that knew I was trustworthy or that, I was a hard worker or whatever, and I just wanted the team to win. And then you had a lot of people that you might not know personally as closely, and so it just creates, that kind of doubt and tension and stuff. So that's probably one of the tougher things I think about being a coach's son on a team. It might be a little bit tougher to build, the those camaraderie type relationships that you're normally used to having on any other team.
And then what was the most rewarding part of having your dad as your coach?
Well, we were on the same page, I mean, I had seen I had seen what dad had done for years and years and years before even trying to play for him. So, when it comes to scheme and trying to understand what he's driving at and everything like that, it was like a super easy thing. I'll give you this is an interesting story, I think, about just how he coached and, how it helped me as well. When I did transfer to UNI, um, we would do one-on-ones against defensive backs or maybe outside linebackers every day. I was a receiver. And one of the patterns that they had us running, it was called an in, and it was basically you run 10 yards straight down the field, you break 4 steps towards the post, and then you come back, right? And so, I mean, for the really fast guys, they may be able to stay open during that period. And I considered myself kind of mediocre fast. I wasn't like super, super fast. And, and what I was, picking up from this is the defensive back to guard that play. They never had to turn their hips. They could just sit there with an open stance, backpedal, turn with the cut, and then they'd see you coming back right in front of them, and the really fast DBs, boom, they'd come back and they'd knock the ball away, right? Well, I remembered when I was watching dad teach a bunch of players when I was in 6th grade, watching that practice, they would run an in, and they would run it a different way. They would run it hard, and they would break to the outside until the DB's hips opened that way, and then they would come back to the inside across his hips because now he has to like turn and spin to come and get you. So one day at practice, I basically told the quarterback, hey, I'm going to run an in. It's going to look different, but I'll be there. And so I ran it that way, and I was wide open, caught the ball. And one of the coaches was like, wow, that was a great route. What was that? And I was like, that was an in. It was just different. And so then he was like, hey, if any of you other guys want to run it like that, you can run it like that, because they saw that it worked. And that's something that I remembered from when I was a 6th grader as a sophomore in college, so that was a pretty cool thing you
Yeah.
taught that lasted. It was, or it was way before its time, or it was just one of those things that he knew and would teach that a lot of other coaches hadn't learned yet, and just didn't teach their people.
Yeah, sounds like you absorbed a lot of knowledge about the game, which I think is important. Like, whenever people talk about football IQ or hockey IQ or whatever, like being a coach's son or being in the, film session or, whatever it may have you, you definitely absorbed a lot. Um, and that's cool.
Yeah, and I've called myself dad, kind of a sports rat. I wanted to do any sport
Mhm.
I could. He was a football rat. I mean, dad had bookshelves full of offenses, defenses, coaching theory books, everything, and he's definitely a student of the game. When you say there's a student of the game, somebody that really knows the ins and outs, because football that's tough. That's a tough sport to teach.
Yeah.
There's 22 positions, offense and defense, and there's a lot of technicality to it that goes unnoticed by people that don't know anything about coaching football.
Yeah.
There's a lot, right?
Yep. That's right. And that's what makes it tough when, like here in college, we had a made up staff of people who were really not real experienced going against a northern state who had coaching staff and coaches that have been there for years and so on. And I enjoyed, that's one thing. When I left here in college, I went to Northern, and I enjoyed my years there.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience a couple years back. Your mom and I and Jenny, who we'll be talking to here shortly, we took Dad back to Northern. They just built a brand new, beautiful stadium, and Northern's in Aberdeen, South Dakota. It's a state school. It's probably a school of about 3,500 students, but they had just built like a $50 million, sports complex. It's beautiful.
Ooh,
So
where'd they
anyway,
get the money for that?
donors and the state and who knows, but it's fantastic, and they play in a really tough conference. Anyhow, while we were there, the guy who was the head coach at Northern at the time, his name was Jim Kretschmann. He was there at the game as well, and so Dad was able to see him when we were talking to Coach Kretschmann. I was introducing him to Mom, and I'm like, "Yeah, Dad coached for Coach Kretschmann," and Coach Kretschmann's like, "Oh, well, before that, we competed against each other because the entire time Dad coached at Huron, they were competing against Northern, and really at the time, Northern was like the big brother of the conference. They were a state school with all kinds of resources, and they were playing a bunch of little private schools. So to to try to take them down was like trying to take down Alabama. I mean, it was a big,
Yeah, one year we finished second to them.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
So,
that does sound like Alabama then, if you're just
so y-
happy that you were behind them.
yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
What I observed, Dad as a coach, is he always had really good relationships with his players. Like if we went back to Huron because they were having an alumni thing or whatever like that, players would always be seeking you out and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So, tell me over the years, like, are there certain players that really stand out that you remember from your coaching experience that you really drew strong relationships with?
Well, uh, you going back, there's always somebody from every team, like at Young College. Terry Long, quarterback, did a great job. Carmen DeFleece, a wide receiver, was outstanding, really. And then at Northern, Mark Knipe, a wide receiver, set the school record. In fact, the wide receiver set the school record every team I coached.
Yeah.
We really Knipe was a good one. He could he should have tried out for the pros. And
It sounds like
there's
you're good at recruiting then.
pardon.
It sounds like you're good at recruiting then.
Yeah, we beat some people out of some good ball players. Got a little irritated with us, but we got some good ones. We got a really good defensive back out of Willow Lake, South Dakota, that South Dakota State at that time wanted. And then just trying to think of some more ball players. There's so many of them that it's hard to name just a few.
How'd
And then you
you
had,
recruit them?
oh,
I wanna know more about recruiting because today's day and age, NIL, like, takes over everything. So I'm just kinda curious, like, when you were recruiting these guys, like, what were the things that you focused on?
Well, we'd coach them hard. We'd give them an opportunity to play. And what they did with it was up to them. They knew they were going to get coached hard. And we tried to put together the best financial package that we could get. But in those days, it wasn't much.
Yeah. Why do you think they went to your school over, like, South Dakota State?
It's hard to tell. This particular defensive back, I went to his high school game, and he got hit and dinged. And his dad brought him over to me and says, "Take a look at him, see if he's all right," and so forth. I said, "Hey, I'd love to see him play more, but I wouldn't even do that with my own ball players to tell you whether they could play or not. That's up to the doc and anyone else, the trainers, if you have one, to make those decisions." And And I think his dad really liked that and kind of encouraged him to come also. Yeah,
Okay.
you just got to be honest with people.
Love it.
Did you ever have to overcome any kind of injuries?
Well, I got knocked out twice in college. That was the only injuries I had. I had water on the knee and, both ankles taped and both hands taped and so forth. But getting knocked out, in those days, it was different than it is today. The whole protocol is a lot different.
So what was the protocol? What did they do?
Well, first time my junior year, they came out and stuck a smelling salts under my nose and led me off to the field. And the doc would look at me and ask me my name and check my eyes and so forth. And pretty soon, as soon as I could tell him my name and my eyes didn't look too bad, I'm back in the ball game. And then I got kicked in the head, the same ball game in a pile, and our coach had named Charlie Dostal and myself, who were juniors, captains for that game because he was irritated with the seniors, I guess. And so then I got kicked in the head, and the quarterback called a play, and I looked at our tailback and said, "Harv, what do I do on this?" Harv looked at me and like, because I told him every play what to do. And then I'm all scrambled and I'm thinking, dang, coach names me captain and then he won't tell me the plays. I mean, I was really scrambled. So then I go back to the sideline and the doc checked my eyes and asked who I was, and I played the whole second half.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen today.
No.
You'd be sitting on the sidelines at first sight of a tough hit.
My senior year, I got knocked out, and they were leading me off to the side of the field, and the two guys who were leading me dropped their hands, and I just kept walking to the sideline. And your mother said, "Oh my God, am I going to be married to a zombie?" But I played the whole second half of that ball game too.
I guess the recovery back then is just different.
Yeah,
different.
Yeah,
different and short. Well, Dad, thanks for taking the time to enlighten us a little bit. Like I say, you're the one that definitely got me interested in sports, and probably Jenny too. We'll find out from her, and pass it on to you kids. So, thanks a lot.
Dad, while he's switching and while Jenny comes in, my question for you, I don't know if this was based off Grandpa or not. When you loved your experience coaching Drew's youth football team, and
Yeah.
I know this because I know for a fact that you remember specific plays and
yeah.
people's names and like very intimate details of the whole youth football experience. So you had some specific was it your offense that you ran? Was that inspired by what you learned from Grandpa, or like where did that come from?
Good. That's a great question. No, it wasn't inspired by, that wasn't inspired by Grandpa, but the offense was it was a single wing, which was the offense that Dad probably ran when he was in high school and stuff, because it's a very old offense. But the system that we had found, the gentleman who was the head coach and then myself, we had both found the system online, and it was called Winning Youth Football. And this gentleman, his name is Dave Caesar from Nebraska, had spent a couple years writing this book, and he had specific practice plans. He had the offense. He had tips on how to evaluate players. It was like an instruction manual on how to put together a competitive youth football team. And when I saw it, I thought, well, this thing is money, because it's just got all the right things in it. And so we followed it, and it worked. It worked really, really well.
Hey, I hope that guy made a lot of money, because it definitely worked.
Didn't it? I mean, wasn't it great?
Yeah.
you know.
It was pretty great.
All right, now we have my sister Jenny here with us, and Jenny is roughly 3.5 years older than me.
Yep.
She is an athlete and was an athlete growing up. So we're going to ask her some questions about her sporting life as well. And I'm just going to preface it with this to start off with. You know, some people talk about their tough older brothers and stuff like that, and I don't want to hear any of that. You know, I mean, she made me eat cat food. She drugged me around on shag carpet, and I had carpet burns all over my back. You know, she made me run home across a park, probably about 3 blocks home, to get her Flintstone vitamin one day because she had to have it. Yeah. So, you know, some people think they got tough older brothers. So it took I think until I was in like, I don't know, 6th or 7th grade before I was finally tough enough to start fighting her off. So your early days and my early days, I have a lot of memories about, but we're going to ask you about yours.
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Hopefully I can remember. It's a long time ago.
All right. So the early sports that you participated in, I mean, you did everything when we were like kids, and right. So do you remember anything that you thought was just the most fun when you were a kid that you were playing? Or
I always enjoyed track. That was, where my heart rested, because I was fast, and I was always involved in that from being a little kid on through into college. So, but there were other things that I did that were athletic that I really liked to do. We used to ice skate all the time growing up in South Dakota. Remember when we lived in Huron, and that park was right behind our house, and they used to flood that ice skating rink every winter, and we used to go there all the time, every night, and skate. And I really enjoyed doing that. I mean, never did it competitively, or never figure skated in shows or anything like that, but I just liked to do it. I remember that. I played basketball, I played softball. We didn't have organized team softball in my high school, but I played when I was younger, in middle school and junior high, that age, in the summers. Played basketball in high school. I ran track, all through school. So yeah, I kind of got involved in a little bit of everything. And
Weren't
then
you on a water ski team?
Yeah, I did. I water skied on a water ski team one summer. It was the summer between my junior and senior year in college. And, we did pyramids and ski ballet, where you skied on, held the rope with one leg, and skied, slalom with the other. And we went off jumps, and, we did that kind of stuff too. So that was fun. That wasn't for any competition, so to speak. It was just, we did do a show in the summer for like around 4th of July or something, for people who wanted to come and watch.
You mentioned softball. The interesting thing about softball is, because when you played that, you were probably in what, junior high, right?
Oh yeah.
You didn't play in high school.
Probably grade school and junior high, because we didn't have it in Aberdeen as a varsity sport.
Yeah.
So I never played it then.
Right. But then when you were in college, your last year of college, you played on the softball team.
Yeah.
And you were all conference, right?
Yeah. They pestered me to come and play. And I was like, no, I can't, because, I have a job. I needed to pay the bills. And they were like, and I said, I can't make all the practices because I need to work. And they were like, well, we don't care if you come to the practices, just, we need you for the games, whatever. They knew I was an athlete, and they didn't have track at Upper Iowa at that time.
Right.
They had softball and basketball for women, but they didn't have a track team. And I said, well, okay, I can play, but just know that I'm going to miss some practices because I got to work. And yeah, then I ended up leading I think I led the conference in stolen bases, because I was leadoff hitter, because I was fast. And then I was a center fielder, and I made all conference center field.
Look at that, Drew. She got to treat her college softball career like club baseball.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, when you're leading the team in stolen bases, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to come to practice. It's fine.
Yeah. Practice? You talking about practice? No practice. That's funny. I remember your softball career from the time that you came up to throw that big throw home and spiked it directly into the ground. Into the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, good times. We were playing co-ed softball, and there was a ball hit out. We were both playing in the outfield, and Jenny comes up and scoops it up, and man, she took the biggest crow hop and went to throw, and the ball stuck in her hand and ended up like right at both of our feet. And I never laughed so hard.
Yeah.
That was good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
It had been a few years, huh?
Yes, it had been a few years. And
Yeah.
throwing was never my forte anyway. Throwing was not my forte in softball, nor was shooting in basketball. I was good on defense, but I sucked shooting the basketball.
So when you graduated from college in '83, and you did some recreational softball, you played golf,
Mhm.
a
lot of recreational cycling.
Yeah. And then it was about in year 2000 is when you first got interested in triathlon.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did
So
my
what
first
what
race.
drew you to that?
Well, I had been recreationally cycling for a number of years. I'd ridden Ragbri a whole pile of times, and I had some mutual friends who raced triathlon that I knew from biking, that I knew from riding, on different Ragbri teams. And this one person, he was like, you know what? I know you come from a running background and you are a really strong cyclist. You should try to do a triathlon sometime. And at the time I had Travis, who was 8 years old. Brooke was an infant. She had just been born. I was working full time. I just had a lot on my plate, and I was like, no, I don't have time to, I don't have time to train for this. I got an infant. I got another kid who's involved in every club sport on the planet. And I'm working full time, and I was working a lot of hours at that time too. And at that time I might have been going to grad school, because I did at one time take some grad school courses. So anyway, I just kind of poo-pooed it. And he kept just kind of needling me about it. No, you really need to try it. Just, try to do a sprint, short race. And I'm like, all right. And so I did the Pigman, which is a local race here in Cedar Rapids. That's what you'd call a sprint triathlon, where it's a 500-meter swim, a 15-mile bike, and then a 5K. And I really liked it, and I was competitive, and I don't think I won my age group, but I placed, and I was, for a first time ever race, I had quite a bit of success with it. And then it just kind of progressed from there. I did short course racing, both sprint and Olympic distance, for a number of years. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try a half Ironman. And then I did a couple halves, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll try a full Ironman. And I did my first full Ironman in 2006. And that's the distance that I was actually most competitive at. I did really well in the ultra distance arena.
And you not only, I mean, when you say you're competitive, I mean, you went from, doing your first Ironman. I remember you doing your first Ironman, you finished.
Mhm.
And did you place or anything in that one? I don't remember that. I think you just finished.
I think I I was maybe, I was in the top 10, probably, for sure, but it wasn't stellar.
So I remember asking you after that, okay, so you just did an Ironman. So are you done? You going to do any more of these? And first thing out of your mouth was, oh no, I know I can do better. And so I was like, okay, well, this isn't a one-time deal, and of course how many times did you qualify for Kona?
3.
3 times. Yeah, and you have to win your age group, right? Or get top place in your
Yeah,
to get there?
well, and the first time I qualified for Kona, I was in the 45 to 49-year-old age group. And I think there were 2 slots, so you had to get in the top 2. Unless somebody didn't take their slot, then it could roll down to 3rd or whatever. And then the next time I qualified for Kona, I think I might have been 50 to 54-year-old age group. I can't remember if I qualified twice in 45 to 49 or twice in 50 to 54, but it was one or the other. And though when I was in the 50 to 54-year-old age group, one of the races I did, you had to win to get your slot. There was only one slot available because it's all based on percentages of who's in the race and how many people and blah blah blah. And so it's not unusual for the older age groups for women to only have one or two slots for a Kona. They're doing it differently now than they did when I was still racing. They do what's called age graded finish, and it's all, there's some big algorithm that they do, but so it is a little different now, but in general, there's very few slots for older women.
We were all there for your first Kona experience. We talked about it on a previous podcast. It's when it's
What the heck?
it's
Why
when
are you
it's
laughing?
It was the traumatic bike incident.
Yes, it was. The traumatic bike incident that changed my life. It altered.
When you guys did that podcast and you told that story, I was LOLing. It was super funny. Because you still had the big scab on your chin when you showed up in Kona.
And got worse from getting buried by the wave. Yeah.
The wave was worse. The wave was honestly like just as traumatic. Like I remember flying into the ocean floor. My eyes were open. I remember.
Yeah.
All right, what questions do you kids have for Jenny?
I mean, I just want to know like funny stories from I guess triathlon since we're talking about it, but it could also be a sports story or one of each. But like, what are like funny stories that are related to it?
I don't know if there's anything like super funny that I can recall just off the top of my head right now. I might have to think about that a little bit, but I can tell you one of the things that drew me to the sport and kept me in the sport for so long, because it was multiple decades, was just the community that you build with your fellow teammates and people that you race with and you train with. And I've had the privilege of meeting people literally from all over the world that have become good friends and who are like-minded and who, have the desire to push themselves to get comfortable being uncomfortable is kind of one of the mantras that we talk about. And just seeing what you can do physically it's very satisfying, and to know people who are kind of in the trenches with you doing that and understand it and know like the mindset that it takes and can support you and help you through that is really fulfilling. And it's something that I miss now that I'm not racing anymore after my last set of injuries.
Yeah, so you had a lot of injuries as of late. So how do you keep a positive mindset through that and overcome it?
Well, sometimes it's hard. I think that you try to focus on doing what you can do. Like, so I'm not running these days, not because I couldn't, because I can run and it really doesn't hurt to run anymore since I've had my hip replaced. But I don't want to accelerate the next joint replacement. And so I've chosen at this point not to run right now. And so I'm focusing on cycling and doing some bike racing. I lift a lot more now than I used to in the gym because it's important, especially for aging women. And I still swim often and I do a lot of hiking. So I just try to focus on the things I can do and, try to get myself motivated. I picked a big race this year to do to get me out there working toward it. And so that's kind of, how I mentally get through that.
Yeah, and she joined a band.
Anna joined a band. Yep, playing drums. So I get an upper body workout playing the drums.
We should get a clip of that. We should get a clip of that so we can put it in.
We just had a show on Sunday. We just did our first show, which was fun. We played a 6-song set, and it was a lot of fun.
What
So
songs did you play?
we played, the first one was Hit Me With Your Best Shot. It was classic rock was the genre. So Hit Me With Your Best Shot by Pat Benatar. The second song was Steve Miller Band, The Joker. Third
Everything on
song.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah, those were good Guitar Hero songs. And then the third one was Tom Petty, Running Down a Dream. Fourth song was Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. That one was my nemesis. I did not like the drum part of Dreams, and I hate it. I'm super happy we're done with that one. And then the last song we played then we played Zombie by the Cranberries. And then the last one was Eddie Van Halen, You Really Got Me. So yeah, it was fun. They were all really fun songs. So now we'll start a new session and get new songs for the next show 3 months down the road. So yeah.
Classic rock again?
No, I don't know. We don't know what the genre will be because the instructors pick the set list, and so we submit things that we would like, but then they take our submissions and they have to consider, okay, we've got a beginner drummer, so we can't put in like Rush or Tool, where the drummers are just insanely good, or Led Zeppelin's another hard one with Jason Bonham. He was an amazing drummer. I mean, so like they have to say, okay, well, we need to find songs that she can play, and we have female singers, so if we have a song that's a male singer, it has to be one that's in their range that they can sing. And so they kind of control it based on those things, in addition to, what the genre may be. So.
Okay, I've got a question. What is similar about being an athlete and being a musician?
So playing the drums is like rubbing your belly and patting your head on steroids times 100. It's really hard to have 4 limbs all doing something different in different times at the same time. And it's a brain, it's really something that when you start learning, you have to burn new neural pathways into your brain in order to make that happen. And then once you finally learn something, muscle memory will take over, and then you can do it. So muscle memory is really important in playing the drums, whereas muscle memory is really important in athletics, like cycling as an example. When you're riding a certain type of road or certain type of ride where you're maybe high cadence as an example, well, you have to have that type of muscle memory in order to spin at a high cadence or to whatever, so I think and the willingness to work at it and practice and try to improve, because if you're not willing to put in the work, you're never going to be good at anything. Well, never, I guess, is a strong word, but most people aren't going to be good at something unless they put some work into it. I
Yeah,
suppose
and then like your performance is like game time. So you get one chance to not mess up your drum solo, right?
Yeah, for sure. In front of people, you don't want to do that, look like an idiot in front of people. And so, yeah.
So what's your the best moment that stands out from competition that you recall? Or do you have one or two?
I have a couple, yeah. Probably the best moment that I can recall was the year that I won my age group at Ironman Chattanooga. That was a highlight of my triathlon career for sure. I had a perfect day. I raced really well. I had a great swim. I biked incredibly fast. And then I had a really good marathon. And I think I won my age group by, I don't know, over a half hour or something. It was big.
Wow.
It was big. Yeah. I had like a, a dream day, and it was just really fun. I mean, crossing the finish line, I felt great, felt good all day. I mean, I didn't have any of those real, low points where you just want to crawl into a hole off the side of the road. I didn't have that day. So that was nice because you have those.
See, that's why I could just never picture myself being a triathlete, because those mental battles of, oh, I feel so horrible right now, I could just stop. I'd have a hard time staying motivated for that. Whereas I like the sports like hockey and football, where if you screw up, you just got to go, well, there's another play coming in
Yeah.
like 20 seconds. You get a chance to redeem yourself. But in this, it's like, man, you got to stay mentally, you got to stay there the whole time. Otherwise, you'll spiral.
Yeah. Well, and also too, I mean, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but when you're racing an Ironman, as an example, you're putting a lot of eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
You don't have a season of 10 football games
Right.
to do what it is you're trying to do. You may have one or two a year, or some people do more than that, but that's pretty unusual. So it's like you're hoping that day you don't end up sick, or that you feel good, or you don't have some problem, or you didn't eat something that made your stomach go wrong or whatever. And so, or you don't have some incredibly bad mechanical on the course, and which has happened to me. In Kona one year, my last Kona, I had a mechanical and on my bike, and I was off the side of the road for 20 minutes while they were trying to fix it. They couldn't fix it, and I ended up riding 82 miles of the bike course in single speed in one gear. I couldn't shift because my shifters went out, and they couldn't fix it. And so that, ended my day. I finished the race, but it was miserable because, I had to work too hard on the bike. And so my marathon was just a death march. And so those things happen. And that's, those are the things that I think sometimes force you to be stronger, because that this is it. This is the race I've been training for all year. I got to finish this thing. And so even if something goes wrong, you still, you just gut it out and try to make the best of it.
So the three of us know about it, but do you want to tell the listeners about your bike across America?
Oh, yeah, sure. So because cycling is just a passion of mine, I love to ride my bike, and I have multiple kinds of bikes, and I ride, in the summer on the road, and in the summer on gravel, and in the summer on mountain bikes, and in the winter on my snow bike on the single track trails. And so I just love to ride. And as a result, I had decided that after I retired, I wanted to ride my bike across the country. And it was kind of a bucket list item. And I decided too that I wanted to marry that passion with doing something to give back. And at the time, your grandma was still alive, and she was, in the later stages of Alzheimer's. And so she was not in a good way. And I decided, along with one of my best friends whose father died of dementia, that we would incorporate our ride across the country and raise money for Alzheimer's. And so we planned this ride, and I retired in January, and then that March through May, we rode from San Diego, California to St. Augustine, Florida. And it took us 63 days. We had some days off the bike because we'd get a little bit ahead of schedule, because we scheduled events along the way with Alzheimer's chapters and media. We had postcards and a website and an Instagram page, and we encouraged people along the way. We had merch, t-shirts and stuff that we sold and we encouraged people to donate to our site for Alzheimer's, and we ended up raising $45,000 for Alzheimer's throughout the 2 months that we rode across America. And when we were in Texas, we got to see you guys when we came to Austin and in that area. And so it was it was fun. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, as I remember it, we brought down the house at the piano bar with our with our requests. They were usually very well liked by the crowd. It was quite a night.
Yeah.
Big night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin was fun.
We were the life of the party at the piano bar. It
Yeah.
was Darwin's Piano Bar, if anyone's
Yeah.
familiar with Austin, because there's a couple piano bars. There's Pete's, which is like your name brand, and then there's Darwin's, and we were at Darwin's. But it was great, and that guy was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was super fun.
It was great. I thought in that ride, what you did, for, the Alzheimer's and raising money and all that, it was fantastic. It was just, it's something that I'm really proud that you did that. I
Yeah.
mean,
It was
wow,
incredible.
it was an incredible thing. And I was happy that we got a chance just to come down and visit.
Yeah. We there were 3 of us that rode all the miles. It was 3,080 miles. Myself, Kathy, and a gentleman, his name's Todd. And then there were 6 others that came and went that were all working. And so they were like, well, we can't take 2 months off our jobs, but they'd fly in and ride for a week and fly back. And we had 3 or 4 people that flew in 2 different times and rode for a week and then flew home, flew back in, rode for another week and flew home. So we had a total of 9 people that were, on the ride at some point or another, but there were 3 of us that actually completed all the miles. So it was incredible. It was a really fun experience. I would highly recommend it to anybody who ever has thoughts or aspirations to do it, because it was super fun. And we met the nicest people all over, and it was just so much fun.
All right. Well, Jenny, thanks
Yeah.
for taking the time to tell us about your sports journey.
My pleasure.
As your brother, I'm incredibly proud of you as my sibling, and I'm super glad that we're better friends now because she fed me lasagna tonight, not cat food. And it was nice. I mean, it was really, really good. Yeah, and I haven't had to run and get her vitamins or anything. I mean, she's just...
Well, it's early. It's early.
You've been listening to a podcast. We're family members. We're talking ball. We're having a ball. You've been listening to Butterbaugh. Make sure you subscribe to us, and thanks for listening.
Yes, follow us on Instagram at Butterbaugh Podcast. We post clips and other great things on there, so make sure you follow us on Instagram at Butterbaugh Podcast.
And subscribe to our YouTube at Butterball Podcast and listen to us on Spotify. Just search Butterball.